At 11. Does that work for you, Christine?
It does, Your Honor. I have status conference at 9, but I should be done by 11.
Thank you. Kayla? I don't go to Applebee's much anymore. If I do, I'll say hello. But I want you to not get in any more trouble. You're still on probation. When Matt gets back next week, we're going to do a test. I don't know what the circumstances will show that you're not using any drugs, alcohol, including marijuana, but I'm mostly concerned about opioids. All right. You're good to go.
All right, thank you.
All right, Deborah, I'm going to step out of here for a minute, find out why I can't log on to the S400. And I'm going to have them set up a conference with Mr. Mars here. Are you on that case also?
Yes, Ron.
I looked up convoluted in a dictionary and I saw a picture of this case. We'll be back in a moment.
Hi, everybody. I just looked at this call and it looks like it might be interesting. It's got to be more interesting than my Smear Siraj Morrow Bay live stream where he didn't show up. So I thought I would just, live stream this and lurk on Middleton's call for a little bit, just for fun. We'll see what Middleton has up when he gets back. Hi, Ryan. Hi, Internet God. Archangel or Archangel. I hear it pronounced both ways. I never know which way to say that. James Payne. Jay Pistella. Hello, hello. Truth Aberdeen. King. What's going on, King? Always nice to see you. Stacy Hansen. Hi, Jim. Thank you. I hope that's the case. I suspect that some of these could be sort of interesting, but that's the problem with live streaming. You get the awkward in between, and I can't cut it out. Bada Stevo F. Hello. Karen Kinsley. Hi, Karen. Marlon Mealer. Niches Be Crazy. I like that. That's a good name. Hello. Dr. Mania. Hi. Holy Toledo. All right. I can't go through all. This is fun. Thanks, everybody, for showing up. I hope we have a show this time. I mean, last time we did a half hour of waiting for Smear Siraj Morrow Bay, and it was still fun. Beautiful. We finally get Deborah alone. Hi, Chris. Hi, Bobcat.
We'll sit right here till the next call. So you can have a seat right here.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I'll sit right beside you. It's going to be Judge Middleton. We'll need to stand up when he comes in.
Okay.
Thank you, Internet God. Old Guy Gaming is in the house. I love it. Jeff, I'm working. I have to get something set over that's in Will County tomorrow.
Okay.
She's in the building, but
I'm not working at the moment. I'm playing with you guys on Judge Middleton's call for no good
Hey,
reason.
John, how are you?
doing well.
Just because it's fun.
This is Mr. Marr.
How's it going?
Hi, Mr. Marr.
Hi, Mr. Marr.
Hey, John, before Judge comes back in and starts the record, do you have any idea why Casey had dismissed Thomas Marr's case?
Yeah, I never understood that. I always found that a little confusing.
Okay. I wasn't aware that it was dismissed until it was brought to my attention this morning, and Casey is gone for a funeral. So I tried to text him, but he didn't respond. So, and it's my understanding that Jennifer Marr still has an active warrant.
Hey, D-Jen.
Part of this.
Welcome aboard.
She hasn't not been back to the state of Michigan since that day.
Okay.
I don't live stream much, and here's why. Hi, Sally.
Yeah, well, I think we can
Hey, Chuck.
maybe figure
Unnamed
something out
hero.
after this.
Unclean hands. Oh, we've got a party. Midday party here at Law Talk with Mike. I love it. Well, I hate to bring it down with this discussion, but since there are more people here than I expected, here's my official cheers to OPT. It's very sad if you haven't heard. It appears that he's passed, and I did not know him well, but to the extent I did, he was a great guy. I was on a couple streams with him, and he's just always decent and kind. And I don't mean to take it there, but that just happened, and I feel I should say
All
something.
right. Thank you. Please be seated. All right. I've got iPhone and I've got Miss Love
Did he adjust his ponytail?
and let's stop the record.
That profile with the ponytail looks like he should be on a coin. It really has that vibe.
All right, that's Miss Love. I don't know who iPhone is.
Come on, Judge. I got a live stream going on here. Let's have some action.
Ms. Love, can you hear me?
Oh, I thought you guys. You called me.
Ms. Love, can you hear me? Who's on iPhone? Who am I speaking to there?
Wait. Miss Gomez.
Okay. You're here on the Marr case.
Correct.
All right, Ms. Love, can you hear me? Mr. Jones isn't here yet, anyway.
He had emailed saying he was just finishing up a hearing in Kalamazoo, and that was right at 1:30.
Take up this other matter. Ms. Love.
Fun fact, I was born in Kalamazoo.
All right, let's start. I'll turn the record back on. This is the matter of People versus Brendan Gerard Marr. That's you, sir?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Maher is here present in the courtroom with his attorney, Mr. John Bush. The complaining witness, his sister-in-law, Ms. Gomez, is also present. Deborah Davis is here from the prosecuting attorney's office, and Daniel Frazine is the probation agent that was assigned to do a pre-sentence report in this matter. Mr. Bush, let's hear from you first.
Yeah, the first thing I'd like to address is, in my notes understanding, it was not a nolo contendere plea. I believe it was a guilty plea.
Let me take a look.
Is that him in court? I can't tell because that shot's distant.
I wrote no contest, but perhaps you can't do a no contest, a deferral, so I think it must have been a guilty plea.
That was my recollection.
All right.
If only there was an order.
All right, go ahead.
Thank you.
John, could you use the podium? That focuses the recording camera on you. When we're masked, feel free to take your mask off.
We're here with my client who's 28 years of age. I think it's important to note that he has no prior criminal record. He had the opportunity to spend 3 nights in jail as a result of this initially. I suggest to the court that there's been a long family dynamic that had been probably simmered that boiled over on July 4th of 2021. My client's been proactive. He is engaged in services with Margaret McCann, a therapist in the state of Illinois. I think it's pretty clear to everybody reading Mr. Frazine's pre-sentence report, which I think was very well done, probably one of the most detailed ones I've read in many, many years. Typically, we see 1 or 2 paragraphs, but this involves a lot of time and a lot of work.
Ms. Gomez, can you hear Mr. Bush?
Yes, I can.
All right, thank you.
There was obviously, and I underlined it twice, there was too much alcohol involved for a lot of people in this case. I don't know if it was big city boys in the country for 4th of July or what, but it was not the best behavior. I can see that there are 4 stories. I mean, nothing really makes a whole lot of sense, but we've found that we collectively, I think, the bar, that over time, controlled substance, alcohol, emotions, perspective, everybody has a little bit different view of what was said, what happened, and what went on. My client acknowledges the wrongfulness of his behavior. He's not here to point fingers or to push blame one way or the other. He accepts the consequences for what happened. He has the support of his family. His father-in-law is here. He has the support of his wife. He has regular employment. He's worked for over 2.5 years as a union laborer at McCormick Place in Chicago. As the court probably knows, I think that one time was the biggest building in the world. So that it's never ending doing mechanical repairs and improvements. It's a full-time position. It's a union job. He has, and he'll explain to you, he has been proactive in arranging or making the contacts that may be necessary for services the court may enter in the state of Illinois. I would ask the court to give him the opportunity to do the deferral, to do the services. He's willing to do anger management. He's willing to do a substance abuse evaluation. He's willing to do substance abuse testing, all at the direction of the court. Thank you very much.
Ms. Davis, what would you like me to know?
My on base just crashed, so I'll be a second. But I do have the report that Mr. Frazine wrote pulled up, and that is an extremely detailed report. And a lot of the information in it is different or more detailed than what was in the police report. As prosecutors, we only go on the information that we have in front of us and that the police investigate and give to us. hindsight 2020, I think it would have been nice to have a more thorough investigation regarding this particular incident. I did review the dash cam of the officer who responded, one of the officers who responded. Unfortunately, there's not a body mic, so you only have the audio for the person when they're in the vehicle. And I would say that Thomas Marr, the brother of our defendant here, was in the police car of the video that I was watching, and he sounded extremely agitated, extremely intoxicated. And with Brendan Marr today taking responsibility for his behavior on that day, I think it shows a lot of maturity and thoughtfulness, and the insight that he has now to his family dynamic, as Mr. Bush kind of referred to. This is probably going to be a very thought-provoking probation, and I don't have any issue with him doing a DV deferral. I think under the circumstances, if he does complete this probation, then he should have the opportunity to have it off of his record. I don't know what happened that day. The stories are so different in some ways, but yet mesh in some ways that it's very confusing. And I guess when the reporters of what happened were mostly, all of the reporters except for one were intoxicated or a child, it makes it very difficult to figure out what truly happened. So thankfully, nobody was seriously injured. Boating and alcohol and assaultive behavior do not mix. And I believe that Mr. Marr that's here today understands that and acknowledges that. So I do appreciate him taking care of this matter. So with that, I would leave it to the court's discretion as far as the sentencing for this, but I would ask that he be given the opportunity for the deferral probation. I know the one complaining witness here today, there is a restitution issue. I'm not sure if the court's going to deal with that in the whole grand scheme of things today, but certainly it's something that if the court orders the restitution as allowed by statute, I would expect Mr. Marr to pay that during the term of his probation.
Well, the police essentially recommended everybody be charged. The complaining witness, Mr. Marr's wife, Mr. Marr's brother, and him. Thomas Marr was charged in file 211419 with assault. Prosecutor dismissed that charge. He was represented by attorney Cody Crane, and for reasons I don't exactly know, that case was dismissed. There is an open warrant charging assault on Mrs. Marr. She lives in Chicago. There's presently an open warrant for her arrest, and Ms. Gomez was not charged with anything.
Woo, that's surprising.
Everybody was intoxicated. I want to give kudos to Dan. He went above and beyond in this pre-sentence report. Really put a lot of work into it, only to be just as confused at the beginning as he was at the end. It's a family matter. Everybody is intoxicated, though I would note when Mr. Marr was arrested, his PBT at the jail was 000. So if he had been drinking, he wasn't very drunk. The defendant's mother said, his mother says she only had one beer, but the police said she was very intoxicated. There's these weird emails that his mother sent him that are disturbing. This is all family. Thomas was probably the most intoxicated. He didn't get charged with any, or he got charged and dismissed. And Miss Gomez was pregnant, so I'm assuming she was sober. And the whole thing was ugly.
You hope so.
Everyone's drunk. It's the 4th of July. There's kids on the boat. The neighbors are involved. Just a bad circumstance all the way around. So Miss Gomez as probably the only one there that hadn't been drinking, what, and you did talk to Daniel, what would you like me to know?
That is correct. I did talk to Dan that day. I would like you to know that due to Brendan Maher's actions and his wife Jennifer Maher, from being attacked that day on the boat, that with Brendan's actions, it was uncalled for. It was outright most disturbing, especially because it did happen in front of his children, knowing that I was 8 months pregnant. They both sent me into the hospital. I was bleeding and had severe bruises on my stomach. I do have a letter today too from Silver Cross Hospital from the injuries, and due to what they have caused, I was induced 2 months early to deliver my child.
I'm sorry, I'm not hearing you, so could you stay closer to the mic?
Yes. So I was induced 2 months early due to the condition of what happened that day on the
I
boat.
thought you said you were 8 months pregnant.
I was almost 8 months pregnant.
All right, what was your original due date?
So it was September 15th, around there, to September 24th. And
When were you induced?
I was induced the 23rd of August.
Okay.
I don't think she gets how this conflicts yet.
All right, go ahead.
Due to that, and I do appreciate Brendan taking fault for his actions, but I do believe that it is unfair the way that the police handled the matter that day with Jennifer Maher, due to her punching me in my stomach. And I would fight for that to be expedited to Chicago, so that way I can handle that case here.
Well, there's a warrant for her arrest. It's unlikely the prosecutor's going to extradite her from Chicago. Normally don't extradite on a misdemeanor. And so she may not come back into Michigan. But as Daniel pointed out in some of the reports, some of what you're concerned about was what she had done as opposed to what Brendan had done.
Correct.
What's the
Both
circumstance with
Sorry.
Thomas? How is he doing?
He's doing great.
Are you still together?
Yes, we are. And I did have to relocate my family because I felt very unsafe. We were living in both of their father's home, which Thomas resided there for years, and I was with them. But after that incident, I felt unsafe. We both did. We felt unsafe that our children were there in the home. They told me that day that they were going to kill me and my daughter, and that made me have to relocate my whole entire family elsewhere.
All right. Anything else you want me to know?
Other than that, just what Brendan did that day was uncalled for, and he was definitely the least drunk out of all of them. The two main people that were drunk there that day were Jennifer Maher and Thomas Maher. I will agree to that. But if Brendan can get on the boat and assault his brother before he got on that boat, came to pick us up and assaulted me, he knew what he was doing that day. And I don't give him pity for that. So that's what I have to say, and that's pretty much all.
All right. Mr. Maher, I'll give you the last word. Is there anything you want to tell me?
Should I stand or?
Yeah, you can stand at the podium.
Okay.
Oh boy. It sounds like quite the family gathering.
I'm sorry for my actions that day, and sorry to everybody involved. Should have never escalated or even got to that matter. Like my attorney John said, I've taken all these steps to better myself in every kind of way possible. it's terrible what happened. And like I said, I'm sorry for that. Can't take it back. I wish I could. And I just hope one day this will all be brushed underneath the bridge and we can get past it.
Well, you're all gonna be family, but there's an awful lot of family trauma in this family. I'm very troubled by the emails that you received from your mother.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Gomez, how intoxicated was their mother?
That day she did, that was correct of what was in the report. She did have one beer, while the rest of these three, as in Jennifer Maher, Brendan Maher, and Thomas Maher, they were all drinking while Brita Darling and I had watched Brendan Maher and Jennifer Maher's children. While that was going on for maybe 2-3 hours, give or take. I was watching Connor and John at the time, as well as Brendan Jr. I had sent Brendan Jr. over next door to play with the neighbor kids, just because he was older. And during that time, I needed help because I was still pregnant. And Brita had taken Connor and watched him and played with him throughout that time. So Brita was more hysterical than anything, just because she had, witnessed both of her sons get into an altercation, and not only that, but watched not only her daughter-in-law, but her own son attack me in front of their children on the boat that day. And he would not give in. He would not, get off of me. And they watched what he did that day, and it was traumatic. And I can give Brita that benefit of the doubt, but she had drinking very little to nothing.
Maybe she was hysterical or something, but the police officers certainly thought she was intoxicated. Deborah, in the video that you watched, did Ms. Darling seem intoxicated?
In my opinion, yes. But again, I don't have audio. I just have video, and so you look at body language, how they stand.
It doesn't matter here, but it's just trying to figure out who's credible and who isn't. So thank you. I'll let you finish, Mr. Maher, and then we'll figure out what we're going to do.
I have, list of papers for anger management and places if I get the probation to go and get drug and alcohol screened up to the pro officer's discretion. And I'm seeing a therapist, like I said, once to twice a week. So I'm just trying to deal with, situations where you get mad and everything a healthy way, and just try to better myself. And again, I'm sorry for all the actions that happened on that day, which, I take it back.
This happens every summer.
It sure does.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Bush and I were raised here in St. Joe County, so was Ms. Davis. We have a number of inland lakes where we have people from out of state and out of the area come for the summer. And many families have been coming for years and years and years. And every year, in the 40 years I've been here, people get drunk at one of the lakes and have some sort of a circumstance, often including family. You're on vacation, you're away from home, you're drinking because you're on vacation, you're having a good time until you aren't. Not to say that our own people don't certainly get in trouble on the 4th of July, but we often have visitors have it. At any rate, I appreciate what you've done. And I thought about just a jail sentence, but to have the ability to do the deferral, I'm going to put you on a 12-month probation. I'm going to order 13 days credit free, and of the 13 days, 10 are deferred for your participation and cooperation with the probation department. I'm going to reserve on the question of restitution. Daniel couldn't make head nor tail out of it. There is an open warrant for Jennifer, and I suspect she probably will not return to Michigan, where she'll be served on the warrant, but if she chooses to come here, she could start this. Don't know why the charges against Thomas were dismissed. The police thought, as I said, everybody should have been charged, but they weren't. The fine is 0. There's a $75 crime victims' rights fee, a $50 state minimum fee. John, you were retained in this case?
That's accurate, Judge.
There's no attorney fee. There's a $480 probation oversight fee. The defendant may do his anger management in Chicago. Chicago is a big area. You don't actually live in the city. What suburb are you in?
Just south, it's still Chicago. It's Mount Greenwood. It's south of the city.
All right. Chicago area. You may also do your testing in the Chicago area. No assaultive or threatening behavior, no drugs, and no alcohol. Word of advice, don't get arrested over the 4th of July weekend. There isn't anybody to arraign you until Monday, and then you end up spending 3 days in jail. 75, 50, 480. There are other issues to be in counseling for, which you are, and that will be part of the domestic violence. Ms. Gomez, there's an awful lot of healing that needs to be done in this family, and I don't know if it ever can be. You married into it or got into it because of Thomas. And on the other side of the equation is Brendan and his wife. And this is a really ugly thing. Poor Daniel probably had to get therapy after trying to figure out what happened. But I commend him because he did try to hear from everybody. And the fact that you were here is valuable to me. I'm not clairvoyant. I can't tell exactly what happened. But as Deborah said, it may not be possible to exactly know what happened. You've got different perspectives, different views. Some of the people are intoxicated, some of the people aren't. And the big shame of this is little kids were there and just a bad situation all the way around. Thomas's intoxication is part of the underlying context of this. Whether their mother was intoxicated or not, I guess we'll never know. But you are eligible for the deferral. You can do your treatment, you can do your testing in Chicago. But you are on probation. In fact, I want you to go downstairs to the probation department before you leave here today and do the intake.
Okay.
Ms. Gomez, do you want a no contact provision, that he can't have any contact with you?
Yes, I do.
All right, no contact. And the prosecutor elected not to charge you with anything. Maybe the police officers were just frustrated. They said, we'll charge everybody. They charged 3 of the people and ended up dismissing the charges on Thomas. All right. You are eligible for the deferral. I've reserved on the restitution for if and when Mrs. Maher is arrested. If she stays in Illinois, she probably won't be. But this will.
When I spoke to her, Your Honor, she said they were just waiting to get this thing settled and then they were going to tackle the next one.
All right. Well, that's admirable, man, one at a time. All right, Ms. Gomez, you're free to go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you for being here. It was very helpful to hear from you.
Mr. Bush, I sent you a text message about another case that you might want to look at before you leave today. If you have any questions.
Okay, I'm like 50 feet from you. Maybe we can just talk face to face.
Yeah, I have one more.
Imagine that.
All right, well, there you have it. That was pretty wild. I was gonna try to talk a little bit, but the proceedings were clipping along, and I didn't want to step on them. It was pretty interesting. I'd like to know the underlying story. But well, I know the underlying story. A bunch of people got drunk at the lake. The defendant that was being sentenced was well prepared. He could not have done better for himself. His attorney did a nice job. He's like, yeah, the old, guys get crazy and a little drunk. They do bad things. And then the defendant couldn't have been more remorseful. So it was handled as well as possible. And again, I don't know what all happened underneath, but Deborah Davis was being nice. Probably because of the sincerity of the defendant, and that's probably appropriate. So I'm not judging that, but she was not, she left it to the discretion of the court and basically was not even arguing with the defense in this case. A judge did something which appears to me to be reasonable and tried to resolve it. But all that was kind of interesting. I was going to do a couple of them, but I didn't realize that one would take that long. I've got to run, but thank you everybody for showing up. This was kind of interesting. It's my second attempt at this. At least the people showed up for this one. So we had something to see.